Hello, folks. Welcome to season 4 of our On the Call series produced by the stars among us. And I am Ozzy, as you know, and I thank you very much for tuning in to this thank you tour of mine, as each episode is a thank you card to someone who has impacted my life. And now, on this 8th episode of season 4, I'm shining light on my good old buddy, friend, Alan Sussman. Hello, Alan.
Hello, everybody. Hello, Miss Ozzy.
Hello. Alan, you and I just realized a little while ago, you're one of my oldest friends. We have known each other since the days of the garment industry, the trade show happening at the Coliseum, when the Coliseum was on 59th Street and Columbus Avenue.
Correct.
Right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And that was back in what?
1980. Yeah, 1980. I would think 1981, something like that.
Whoa. God, you're old.
Hey, cut it out, okay?
It's been a lovely, lovely ride. So I'm very, very happy, Alan, that you're here with me. Now, getting into Alan. Alan was in the garment industry when I was just starting out. I knew Alan from having great reputation in knits.
Knits, leathers, shirtings, pretty much the gambit of classifications. Well, I was in the better market in the beginning, and there's no question about that. I loved better fabrics and better quality.
What brought you to this? Because you're a Bostonian.
Oh, you don't make fun. Yes, I started as a 17, 18-year-old in Kenmore Square in Boston in men's and women's wear, and was hired and did nothing but straighten out and do this and look at silhouettes and feel fabrics and look at fabric content. And when I didn't know something, I asked why and how, and people went along with me, my bosses, and yet again, I was invited to look at product moving forward that they were purchasing. So I would ask my questions, and I learned that I was told, Alan, there was no stupid questions, just stupid answers. And that's how I gaining knowledge.
Was your family in the business or no?
My father was a commercial decorator, decorating store windows, men's and women's, throughout New England. My mother, when my sister got married and I was 13 and 14, she went back to work in a dress store. I mean, what the hell was I going to become, a doctor? It just wasn't in the cards. I just gained thirst of what I was doing and continued. It was just a wonderful ride.
You used to travel a lot as well, or was internationally?
In the mid-'80s, I went to Europe 3-4 times a year. Would bring back either samples or looks or pictures of things that I saw in Europe that I would give to my vendors, which they were delighted, because I became more of a merchant rather than just a salesman.
Right. When I was in the industry, there were so many trade shows. You're constantly traveling, right?
Right.
We belong to a really crazy group of people. There was great camaraderie, yet there was competition because you're competing for sometimes the same dollars. You know what
Correct.
I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And then you had the great shows like Magic twice a year in Las Vegas, which was great fun. You had the regional shows. There was a lot of travel.
And that I had the West Coast in 13 Western states, but I also would travel to locations and set up shop, and most of the time I stayed in a hotel and people would come to me, and I was working 7:30 in the morning till 11:30, 12 o'clock at night, and that went on for a number of years. But it was wonderful. I did business and was well accepted.
That was a better way of doing it.
Correct.
People were coming to you
Correct.
rather than you having to go to them. I remember within the last couple of years of me being in the industry, I was working on this line for Busta Rhymes, and instead of doing the regular presentation on the floor, at Magic, it was out in Las Vegas, and it was the largest trade show for apparel and shoes and everything belonged within the garment industry. But instead of doing the 4 days on the floor, we set up in the hotel. We'd open up about 8 o'clock at night, and we would be selling until maybe 2 o'clock in the morning. It was fun for the buyers because they had something to do at night. And there was food for them to come and spend time and converse. And so you working that way on a regular basis, I envy you. Because normally we would be on the floor at 8 o'clock. We stand on our feet selling, even though we have had fun doing it from 8 till 6 at night. And then you're either too tired to get up and go and have dinner and hang out, or you go hang out and you hang out all night to get right back on the floor for 3 or 4 days.
That's how it went for a week. There's no question about it. It was nonstop, and it was a lot of fun. I think the success that I shared was the fact of going to individual stores and meeting people and going there to find out what I could help them with as far as sales, and me being there was the key to all of it. And then asking them to join me in the hotel where I could spend more time and more energy. But this gave me the knowledge of what they were doing and how I could fit in. And I think that was a key.
Did you like doing the Magic thing more than the regional shows, or how was it for you?
I did. It was okay. We all bitched and bellyached about it because it became mundane at times, but the fact is that, it was a part of business that we shared, and it was helpful in so many ways to have these shows. I extended myself and went to shows in Europe, in Italy, and the one at Versailles and Paris. And I did that within the mixture of our shows, and that really gave me a lot of insight and a lot of knowledge, and talking to people that actually I couldn't speak the language, but for some reason there was a common ground that we could talk to, and it was the funnest thing in the world.
A whole bunch of new people to new contacts, etc.
Exactly. I developed clients in Japan and Mexico and a few in Europe.
Of all of it, what did you really love about the industry?
The contact of people, having relationships with people that, lasted me for over 25 years or so. That, if I was with my company in Las Vegas at retail, and we would go and shop certain lines and I would run into people that I had sold. And it was just lovely to have people notice and remember me as I remembered them. And it was just a wonderful ordeal. Still to this very day, I still have retailers and salespeople around the country and the world that I could still go and see and say hello. And it's really rewarding that would happen. And unlike any other business.
I remember my first trip out to Magic, and it was tough making appointments because I was new to the game, new to the men's industry, which I grew to love so much. And I'm trying to make appointments with people from out west, saying, "What kind of name's Ozzy? What kind of name?" "Well, honey, we can't make an appointment with you, but we gonna pass by, And they did, and I roped them all in. And for years after that, even when I did not have anything to sell them, and they will always pass by each other and say, "What do you have for me? What do you have for me?" They still pass by, they still call,
Yeah, it's very cool, exactly. And that's the way it was. We enjoyed the camaraderie with a lot of people, and it was really a very nice thing.
Let me ask you something. You were on the East Coast. What made you go west?
Well, there's two reasons why you come west. You come west to go for vacation and you end up spending 30 years, and either that or you end up, split up in a marriage and, and you come out west. So it was a combination of both. And yet again, I still with the first person I married, and we still own a house together and still very friendly. We have a wonderful daughter. So.
And where are you now? In Vegas, or are you Vegas or California?
I'm in northwest of the Strip, about 13 miles, a place called Summerlin, which is one of the hotter spots in this Vegas area in the valley because of its newness, its freshness, and it's a little more on the contemporary side. And, there's parks, and it's just a very nice place. You would never know that you're in Vegas. There's no question about that.
Why not California?
Well, I had a lovely home in California. My daughter had moved here to Vegas with her mother, and I wanted to be closer after a while, after I lost some of my business because the business went astray in the mid, I can't remember, the mid-90s, etc. And the traffic was insanity. And I said, I'll be next to my daughter, and that's that. I'll start a life here. And that's what I did.
And you've loved it. How long have you been there now?
Oh God, I don't even know. 20 some odd years. It's something. There's more culture in the yogurt than there is here, but that's not the point. The point is my daughter's here, and I have a lovely home, and it's very nice. And I worked at a lovely store for 18 years in a major hotel. We did very well. We did business, and it was constant.
And especially at this time with COVID, it's really good to be around family.
Oh, there's no question. Yeah, no question about it.
Has COVID affected you and family, or no?
Well, I've lost quite a few people, 3-4 people that have passed away from it. The fear of, being out in an environment like Vegas, where there's so many people around the world coming. They just opened up November 8th or whatever, international travel here. So, there is skepticism, and yet again, we all hope for the best. I haven't been on the Strip in over a year and a half, and the other night I went to see Bill Maher, one of your favorites.
Yes.
At Mirage, and that was just terrific. At least 85, maybe 90% of the people wearing masks and conducting themselves properly, which I was thrilled for. Who knows what's going to happen, but we have to be careful.
Yes.
And due diligent.
Have you picked up any new hobby?
No, I still have my same hobbies of gardening and doing plants and flowers and vegetables.
Any extra special plants?
Yeah, a couple of pot plants that were always very interesting and fun to do. And nothing like going out and cutting your lettuce and cutting your cucumbers and stuff like that right from the garden and, enjoying. There's nothing like it, so that's been my passion and nothing but fun.
Well, one of the hobbies I've noticed is the emojis. How did that begin? I'm like, it's just not so Alan, but then it's kind of like, yeah, that's Alan.
It's just fun, there's some things that don't have to be said in a paragraph or so, and sometimes a picture is worth its weight in words. And I don't know, I kind of liked it, and it kind of makes me chuckle myself, and I get people like yourself that are always sending me emojis back of a smile or crying from the laughter that
mine are very simple. Mine are so simple compared to yours. Somehow, where did you find these things?
I can't tell you, otherwise I'd have to tell you. So,
anything you've learned about yourself, especially within these last 2 years of hardship that we've gone through?
Every year I try to look at myself and try and do better in certain ways, of being a better man, a better friend, a better parent to my daughter, just to be more proactive with people and being obnoxious and interrupting myself sometimes and just having fun with people out, no matter what they feel or where they're from. Not to be religious, but more spiritual this is what life is about, is to be more spiritual and kind and loving to people, and not really, pointing a finger and not being critical of others. And I think that's where I continue to strive to be, and I feel I'm succeeding in that issue.
Yes, you are. One of the things about you is that I really love about you. You always make me laugh. There's always a giggle, and that is so precious, because there's so much of the other stuff that's happening. I really appreciate that. What are you most proud of in your career?
Working for a Chinese company and an Asian company, and going to China and being in the thick of things as far as manufacturing and sewing and this, that, and the other thing. I think I'm just proud of the fact of my learning capacity and the people along the way that helped me to learn. And again, it's just the satisfaction of knowing people over the years that I have, and can still walk in someplace and haven't seen them in 20 years. They go, "Oh God, aren't you Alan Sussman? Do you remember me?" I go, "Of course I remember you." It's just so wonderful to be remembered, and in a pleasant way. And what can I tell you? It's what life's about, I think, to keep that knowledge and to keep that kindness with people.
Is there anything still on your bucket list that you'd really like to do?
Well, I'd still like to tour the world. I mean, South America, I haven't been, and there's plenty of places that, even Iceland and Ireland, Ireland I've been, but Iceland, there's so many things to learn and so many things to see. It's such a wonderful world. Hasn't been such a wonderful place as it should be, unfortunately, with such nonsense that goes on. But there's still a lot to see and a lot to learn, and there's still a lot of people to see and learn from.
How would you like to be remembered?
Tall, dark, and handsome, maybe. But of course, I'm short and I'm not handsome. So what can I tell you? All right. So want to be remembered as a good person and a kind person and a loving person, and I'd like to be with. That's all.
Do you have any fears, like now, as opposed to the fears that you had back in the day?
My fears are different. I'm reluctant to go out there because of what's going on with the viruses and things like this, and people's attitudes. Of course, the politics is, and this, that, and the other thing is really horrible. I have to pick up that energy to get out there and find out what I want to do again. And the problem is that, I still have a lot of energy and knowledge left, and yet again, I'm 73 years old. I still feel that I've got a lot to offer.
To look at you and to hear you don't sound 72, so, don't even tell them at least you're 10, 12 years young. Yeah. You've done a lot with knowing a lot of people in a lot of places. But what was the one most challenging thing professionally that you had to overcome?
Well, I think it's something that I've overcome, meaning that when talking to someone, I have a tendency to fit in with, because I don't put myself above or below someone. People understand that. They look at that and they say, geez, this person is very charming, I hope, and delightful to be, and their guard is broken down. And I think that's the biggest challenge I've had with being in the business, and it taught me so many things, being understood and accepted at times, having long hair and being a Jewish kid, it's not the most easiest thing in the world, but I got beyond it, and I wanted people to get beyond that and to judge me on the content of my character and not so much what I looked at. And because I looked contemporary, and I always looked a little on the outside looking in, so to speak.
You were always considered pretty funky, contemporary. You walked the beat of your own drum, but you always did it with class.
Thank you. And
that is something nobody could take away from you. And I'm sure within that light, that's how you remember. And I want to say thank you very, very much for being on this call, because, and it was important for me to have you here because in this particular season, it's people who've impacted my life, but also have impacted me when I was going through the crazy time with my son. And you were one of the people that showed up constantly. The idea that I have for you based on how we were back in the day in the 80s and 90s. And then again in 2010, when I was there for quite a while. And then again in 2017, this ability for us to laugh like we do, to stumble over each other's sentences, but kind of be on the same track. The giggles, the way that we can tease each other, it's just a wonderful thing, Alan. Really, really wonderful thing. And so, yes, you'll be remembered in the light that you've just spoken of and more. And I want to thank you so, so much for all these years of friendship, of support, especially during the hard times. But most of all, to be able to sit, have a chat and giggle, whether it's 2-3 minutes, whether it's a quickie, as they say, you know, it's a treasure. Thank you so, so very much for being a part of my life. Really. It's been a so long, wonderful. Many years.
And as Tina Turner said, and that's what love's got to do with it.
Ah, yes. So, audience.
I can dance if you want to see me dance. I can do Tina. I swear to God.
I want to tell my audience, thank you so much for spending your valuable time with us today. Please care to share, and remember, when you're on your beach, stay on the sunny, sunny side of the street safely. Be mask conscious. It's still very real out there. Alan, agree, yes. Right? Yes.
Yeah,
Alan,
absolutely.
Thank you so, so very much for this time.
My pleasure, my dear friend, my pleasure.
Yes. We'll talk again soon.
We better.
Hey, that's right.
You know what's good for you.
Will do. Take care.
Right. Be well.
Thank you. Love you.
Thank you. Love you too.
Please help us in our mission to support those facing fatal diseases through our t-shirt sales by donating or shopping at aussiestewart.com or supporting us at anchor.fm/Aussie Stewart. That's ANCHOR.FM/Aussie Stewart. And don't forget to subscribe on our YouTube channel at Aussie Stewart. Yep. Leave a comment.